Hi everyone. We're down here in the Witch's Den today because I want to do a comparison. This is a new deck to me. I just unwrapped it, the New Chapter Tarot, and it has an intro with Rachel Pollack in it. But this is by Kathryn Briggs, first published in 2021 by Liminal. Comes in a great little box. I like these ones. This one fits much better for the cards and the deck. And magnet closure. And I wanted to see, because Rachel talked in here about the overflow of Thoth symbology combined with RWS, and I wanted to see for myself how it actually compares. So I have brought down one of my Thoth decks, but you can see that this is the book that comes with it, and really nice intro with Rachel. And I've just been going through some of the cards and indicating some of the symbols that I see on it for the astrology and bringing that towards it. It does have a couple of spreads in the back. Have not tried them yet because I'm still in the comparison stage. So here's one crossing the threshold. And these spreads were done by Eleanor Tremeer. So there's one there, a 7-card one. And then you have this larger one for the balanced life. So it's going to be fun to do those, but I thought I really want to see how it compares to the Thoth. And also in the deck, you get 2 extra cards, one for working with gratitude. And isn't this invocation one fabulous? And it does have information for each one of those cards. But I thought I'd tip the camera down and we'll do our comparison. Okay, so on the left is my 1986 Thoth deck by AGMuller and the newer one by Kathryn on the right. And she's got a beautiful illustration here. I believe that's probably a heron and an owl. And you can see some of her line work underneath, which is really quite neat. You can see the work that went into making it and creating it. So this is her Fool card. So we'll start with the majors and go through, and we will take a look and compare. Try to keep the piles as neat as possible. And let's begin. So I think we want to see it a little bit clearer than that. I'm going to see if I can tip it a bit without it going askew. And we'll zoom in. That should help. Okay. AGMuller on the left and Kathryn Briggs on the right. Well, that's quite different right off the bat. You will notice as we go through, I hope they're so small though, these little astrological symbols. I like the hair on the top in here. It still has that swirl of energy that we have going on in there. And some of the geometric workings. So that's our Fool. They have the Magus on the left and the Magician on the right. The Priestess versus the High Priestess. Now this deck also brings in chakra work. So we got a red, orange, yellow, green, blue going on there. And we still have the idea of the curtains. The Empress. The one on the right seems a little more approachable to me than the Emperor on the left, but equally as strong. the Hierophant and the Teacher. I really do like her Lovers card, not only for the color, but I like the idea of the connection here and the hand fasting going on. I believe that's what it's called. Anyway, the Chariot, quite similar. We have our Scales of Justice, the Hermit. Although they look in different directions, it has some of the same quality. The one on the right appears to me a little bit softer. We have Fortune and Wheel of Fortune. So this one has the swords up above. Lust and Strength. The Hanged Man. I get the feeling that there's the lower world, middle, and upper world on here. That might be fun to work with. Death. So 14 on the left is Art. And there we have Temperance. There is still the duality here in the thoughts in the head and the merging. "15, the Devil. I think this one says the devil more than this one, but you can still have the feeling of being bound. Now this is where I have to substitute in my Tower card because my deck came with one missing, but an extra card. So there is the Tower, and you get to see the size difference there between the decks. These are quite similar. The one on the right a little bit thicker. So we'll go back to putting the Tower there. I like the abstract version of the Tower here. And it almost forms a lion's head, the power of establishment. This one to me, I play with this little image here in the light, and it almost seems like a man standing upside down. So we don't have the falling figures here, but this gives me that same sort of feeling that the world has been turned upside down. Then we have the Star card. This image here is quite lush, quite romantic. The Moon. The Sun. And Aeon and Judgment. Quite different. And she does bring in plants. I wish in the book that the plants had been indicated, but they're not that I have seen. And there is our universe. So we still have the snake here being brought in. And I like the way that the tree is part of this, reaching into that earthy element. And I'm picking up a little bit now that I didn't see before, these rays of like the sun or a sunflower. All right, so we're into the aces, and this is the Ace of Wands. I think so far I like this one, but I'm picking up a little bit here with the chakras as well. That's kind of nifty. There is our 2. And she urges us in the deck that instead of looking at some of the cards as influences outside of us from other people or situations, that each of the cards are really about us and looking at it that way. The responsibility falling on us to make the changes. So we have completion there and our 4 of Wands here. The Wheel of the Year comes to mind there, but it does now bring in some of the RWS. Strife and the 5. Our 6. So I wonder if some people like the people elements that have been brought in. 7. Swiftness. I kind of like seeing the person holding the bow and letting the arrows release there. 9. 10, oppression. And this one, I'll let you see a little bit closer for the details there. So it looks to me like a bird hatching. And I did find that the words in the book were refreshing. So we have our Princess of Wands. And in this is where it goes into the traditional 4 for the courts. But it has its differences. So there, we'll wait and see. Our prince, I suppose, would be the knight. Then we have, see, we had princess, prince, knight, and now we're getting the king, because it seems to me the end on the queens. So there's our queen. Then we go into the gorgeous cups. I know some people, through watching other videos, don't favor the cups, but I am of the water sign, so I do. So we have love. It's similar there with the flow of the water with the crossing here of the snakes. Abundance. Luxury. This is such a pretty card. Disappointment in the 5 of Cups. And this is where I favor this one. And I get more feelings out of this one. This reminds me of the lily pads and the stems that go down very deep into the darkness. And that's where we find some of our emotional hurts and pains. Get these back up here. Pleasure for the 6 of Cups. Seven. She's really rich purples in her cards. this printing. So there is our indolence for the 8 of Cups. This one has more mystery, but this one gives me the feeling of moving away from a difficult situation. Happiness with the 9. Our 10 of Cups. I like seeing the people in it. Now here's our Princess, and this is where we do get a definite change. Okay. I'm using the Knight for the Prince. Again, that's a very strong female knight. Well, we better get that one sorted. There's our Queen. And the Knight there would be equivalent, I believe, to the King. So you're going to have to find your way. And maybe the RWS will work best for me on this system. So our Ace of Swords. This is quite different. I'm just going to pause for a second and let you see what she says. Okay, so for Kathryn Briggs, it indicates, excuse me, the essence of the element of air, which represents the intellect, our mental capacities, and how we might use them. The ace is direct and sometimes harsh. They are intelligent, cold. They cut right to the heart of the matter, but can also swing wildly into anxious overthinking. We all have these faculties. How we use them is what matters. Okay. 2. Interesting they put peace there. I guess it's peace after a decision because the 2 of Swords for me is usually conflict. Having to make that decision. Usually we know the answer, which way we lean, but we're sort of in limbo. Our 3. And it's interesting that the 3 of Swords are here by the gut. Our 4. And I'm going to go back to that one for a second because I did like what she said about the 4 of Swords. It talks about a ceasefire. The 4 of Swords represents the mind in a state of peace. Different perspectives or points of view are considered and accepted. This is a card of intellectual diversity and open exchange of ideas that you are reflecting on, causing you to meditate on your options. Yes, because we usually have that fellow sitting on the crypt. But don't burn out your intellectual battery. It could use a recharge. So it's quite modern, uplifting. Okay, so we have defeat with the 5 of Swords. Six. Quite dramatic, eh? 7. 8. 9. 10. And this one was really good reading too. She had a great perspective on that. Our Princess. Our Prince or the Knight. And our Queens. All right, the last suit being the Discs or the Pentacles. Great earthy colors and tones over here. Our 2. And she talked in the book about the idea of something ripening here and something decaying. The 3. Four. 5 of discs. 6. And that is a little kitty. Then we have our 7. And I always look at the 7 of coins of needing patience. So they have failure here. And I'm quite interested in how the coins are below the ground. They're in part of the root of the matter that nourishes all of this. Our 8. 9. 'Another male for the Princess of Discs. 'Okay, then we have our Prince with a very strong but gentle looking Knight. And our Queens. So I'm just going to lay out one of the spreads so that you can see how it looks. So I've had to scooch the cards together a little bit. There'd be more of a gap here. But I also brought in the invocation card, and it talks in this spread about the spread is something of a ritual intended as you communicate with a chosen guide and as you prepare to cross a personal threshold. So the first card is invocation, and I brought that card from the deck. The second one is wisdom. The third one, power. Self over here. Unconscious. 6 is the past self. And 7 is the becoming self. So it looks quite neat. And with the invocation card, it does ask us to take a moment to clarify the intentions. This is a call to connect with your guide. Reach out to the guardian of the first threshold, and they will test your resolve and worthiness to cross over. It might be intimidating at first, and the guardian nonetheless holds your best interests and inner growth at heart. Magic is all around us, and we only need to tap into it. So open yourself to receive guidance and wisdom. And it does give reversals. And that was the other interesting thing, that you get reversals for the majors and the 2 extra cards. and the lower ones do not have reversal meanings in the book. So I hope that that gives you a little taste of working with the New Chapters Tarot. And it just came to me a couple months ago, and I just unwrapped it. And I really must say I like the colors, and I like the fact that it is bringing in some of the Thoth elements with the RWS, just to swing us in a little bit more naturally. So everybody, blessed days and enjoy.